which poison do you want to die from?
So when they say Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, Zero Coke, Zero Pepsi, ऐसी चीजें हैं market में.
For example, cocaine and heroin. It is almost 100% that more people have died because of sugar than because of the world wars. The biggest benefit is the taste of sugar, no? I would love to once in a while the idea of having an ice cream and the the chocolate.
गुलाब जामुन खा के मजा तो आता ही है.
Culprit here is the sugar.
गन होगी तो रोक लेंगे, पर कैंडी होगी तो नहीं रोकेंगे. So 1st of January 2024 I gave up sugar. And my family is worried. अब 4 महीने हो गए हैं. Family is worried. My friends are worried. Everybody keeps telling me कि सारी उम्र तूने चीनी खाई है, अब क्यों छोड़ रहा है? और छोड़ेगा कोई ना कोई प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी. तो I decided to go back to my trusted lieutenant, my friend Jay, who's a doctor, and ask him कि बॉस क्या हो रहा है मेरी बॉडी के अंदर? Is it okay for me to give it up or not? So Jay, thank you so much for coming back. And having this conversation with me. तो my first question really is कि मैंने चीनी छोड़ी 1st January को, you know it. And everybody around me is telling me कि बॉस ये मत छोड़ो. और क्योंकि सारी उम्र बचपन से खाई है तो छोड़ोगे कोई ना कोई प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी. So do you think it is okay? What's your advice?
I would say that this is probably one of the best things you've ever done in your life.
Okay.
I don't know what else you have done.
Okay.
Big things that might have changed the course of your life, but this is the one big thing that we all need to do to change our lives.
So you think it is okay?
For them, of course.
You think it's all right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
for my family and friends, it is okay. We'll get into the detail now. So the next question which I have in my mind, because इतने लोग मेरे से पूछ रहे हैं, is कि अगर मैंने अब तो चीनी छोड़ दी है, but when I used to have sugar, when sugar goes inside my body, what really happens?
तो इसमें I think सबसे पहले हमें शुगर को समझना पड़ेगा कि चीज क्या है. तो शुगर सैकरीन एक ऐसा सब्सटेंस है जिसमें 2 मॉलिक्यूल है. एक मॉलिक्यूल शुगर में 2 मॉलिक्यूल है, एक ग्लूकोज का है और एक फ्रक्टोज का है, और ये आपस में जुड़े हुए हैं. नेचर में नहीं है.
Okay.
नेचर में एज सच शुगर जिस तरीके से हम खाते हैं, इनफैक्ट मुझे एक भी चीज बता सकते हो तो बताओ कि जो फैट एंड शुगर इकट्ठे हैं नेचर में, वो नहीं होते. तो ये हमारे आर्टिफिशियली क्रिएटेड शुगर्स हैं जो पिछले कुछ सालों में, मे बी 1000 years में शुगर का डिस्कवरी हुई, तो शुगर एक नॉर्मल चीज नहीं है बॉडी के लिए, लेकिन जब बॉडी में हम इसको खाते हैं तो बेसिकली हमारी बॉडी, सबको पता है कि ग्लूकोज चाहिए हमें, लेकिन जो नहीं पता है लोगों को वो ये है कि हर शुगर मॉलिक्यूल में एक ग्लूकोज का मॉलिक्यूल है और एक फ्रक्टोज है. ग्लूकोज को हम संभाल लेते हैं, हमारे बॉडी में जितने सेल्स हैं वो ग्लूकोज को मेटाबोलाइज करते हैं. Like even the brain needs it, the heart needs it, all your muscles need it. It is metabolized. Metabolized मतलब उसमें से एनर्जी निकालनी है नॉर्मल सेल्स को जीने के लिए. लेकिन फ्रक्टोज का सिर्फ एक ही जगह है जहां पर उसका मेटाबॉलिज्म होता है, वो है लिवर. तो इनफैक्ट मैं आपसे एक क्वेश्चन पूछूं अगर कि बच्चों को अगर किंडरगार्टन में, हम
नर्सरी में
आजकल वो स्कूल्स में ये प्रोग्राम होता है कि उनको कुछ खिला दो, दोपहर को भूख लगी हो या सुबह खिला दो ब्रेकफास्ट, तो उसमें जूस पिलाया जाता है.
राइट.
If I tell you that it is that 1 glass of juice is the same as giving them 1 glass of wine, so you are not going to send your kid to that school जो रोज उन्हें वाइन पिलाता है. Of course not. लेकिन बॉडी को ये नहीं पता है कि what is the difference between wine and juice.
मुझे भी नहीं पता है.
हाँ, so the only difference between wine and wine कहाँ से बनती है?
ग्रेप से
बनती है. So the only difference between wine and juice is कि वो जो यीस्ट ने काम कर दिया बाहर ग्लाइकोसिलेशन की, उसके बाद हमारे को वो एज अल्कोहल मिला है ना, जो कि स्लाइटली मॉलिक्यूल डिफरेंट है बिकॉज उसकी यीस्ट ने कुछ उसको चेंज कर दिया.
Okay.
लेकिन जो एंड प्रोडक्ट है उसका, वो हर सेल में उसी तरह से माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया और सारा कुछ उसको यूज करता है. हमें अल्कोहल पी के फीलिंग ऑफ वो क्यों होती है? बिकॉज उसमें ब्रेन भी यूज कर लेता है. ब्रेन फ्रक्टोज को यूज नहीं कर सकता.
Okay.
फ्रक्टोज को सिर्फ लिवर यूज करेगा. लेकिन जो उसके एंड प्रोडक्ट्स है, जब वो ब्रेक डाउन होता है, एक अल्कोहल का मॉलिक्यूल या एक शुगर का मॉलिक्यूल जिसमें आधा फ्रक्टोज है, ये बात समझनी बहुत जरूरी है. जब वो ब्रेक डाउन होता है तो जो माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया है बॉडी में, जो हमारे पावर हाउसेज है हर सेल में, वो उसको जो ब्रेक डाउन करके एंड प्रोडक्ट्स बनाते हैं वो बिल्कुल सेम है सारे। वो जो प्रोडक्ट्स बनते हैं, अब हमने सुना है कि जो लोग अल्कोहल पीते हैं उनका लिवर खराब हो जाता है। इन द सेम वे वी आर मेकिंग आवर किड्स मेक प्रोडक्ट्स, दे आर अल्कोहलिक्स। देयर इज नो डिफरेंस between alcoholics and people who drink excessive or eat excessive fructose, which means sugar। मतलब शुगर में तो बहुत सारा, हम ऐसे सेब खाते हैं उसमें फ्रक्टोज होता है, या जो फ्रूट खाते हैं, लेकिन शुगर में तो एक मॉलिक्यूल आधा शुगर फ्रक्टोज है। ये हमें किसी को नहीं ज्ञान दिया जाता। आई मीन द फूड इंडस्ट्री इज सो मैसिव, दे डोंट इवन टेल अस दैट इट इज हाफ फ्रक्टोज एंड व्हिच इज लाइक अ पॉइजन टू योर बॉडी। दिस हैज नॉट बीन टोल्ड टू अस। And now we are discovering that it is so bad that from a childhood, अब आजकल के आप सिटीज के बच्चे देख लो, वो बिकॉज इतने सारे शुगर्स खा रहे हैं कि वो उसकी वजह से उनकी बॉडी में बहुत सारी डेफिसिट्स आ रहे हैं। वो सारे के सारे बच्चों में वो सारे शुगर जाके उसका जो फ्रक्टोज एलिमेंट है, ग्लूकोज तो हमने यूज कर लिया बॉडी की एनर्जी के लिए, लेकिन जो फ्रक्टोज है वो सारा का सारा जा रहा है कहाँ पर? लिवर में, और वहां जाके स्टोर हो रहा है। स्टोर कैसे होता है? वो होता है, इट्स बीइंग स्टोर्ड एज फैट।
Oh.
And that is bad fat. That is the fat that makes, we have heard of the term fatty livers.
Right.
I mean, earlier we had fatty livers for people drinking excessive amounts of alcohol.
Right. Right.
Now we are getting fatty livers even in children. You know?
Okay.
Where that fructose from all the sugars that we are eating, even in children and adults,
Right.
also,
Right.
is going and creating fats in the liver.
So you are saying sugar juice, because it is sweet, is almost, maybe not exactly, but similar to wine.
Absolutely.
Because both are being made from fruits.
Absolutely.
And both have a sugar content. Absolutely. So juice in children can have a severely bad impact. Absolutely. Just like we say wine is bad, juice is also bad.
If you consider a child drinking wine or alcohol as poison for the child, you should consider drinking juices also as poison. Yes.
Wow. That is a big statement.
That is a big statement, yes.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, it does have its positives of vitamin C and all that, but that is very small. In fact, the thing that we discard when we make juice out of an apple, let's say apple juice, is the fiber.
Okay.
But the reason why we are attracted to an apple is the sweetness of the apple. It is nature's way of giving us some juice for all that fiber. So what we should be having is actually the fiber, not the juice. You know, this is a fact which very few of us know, but it is a nature's way. Nature is perfect. Like, you know, I totally believe that. So whenever we eat an apple, the sweetness of the apple, which means the fructose. Fructose is the sweet element of the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So fructose and glucose, fructose is the sweeter, you know, of the two. So whenever we eat an apple, it is the sweetness that attracts us towards it, but it is the fiber that is needed by our body, by our microbiome or bacteria. They need to eat that to do a lot of biochemical things in our body to make us function properly.
So you think the fiber in the fruit is good?
It's good.
But
is what we need.
But the sugar is not good.
Yeah, the fructose part is not good.
And you're right, if the apple wasn't sweet, in fact जब हम खरीदने भी जाते हैं, या हम एप्पल खाते हैं, बोलते हैं मीठा नहीं है, अच्छा नहीं है ये, राइट? बट हेल्थ वाइज वो फिर भी अच्छा है,
हेल्थ वाइज
राइट?
इट्स अ होल फ्रूट,
बिकॉज़ इट्स द शुगर ऑफ द fruit is actually harmful.
Yeah, that is fructose in apples and all the fruits. Mostly it's fructose.
Okay,
that is harmful.
Okay, but
so, but if we take it in a, you know, if you eat an apple, how many apples will you eat? So
sure.
To make one glass of juice, you probably have to squeeze, you know, 10, 5, 3, 4 apples maybe for a glass. Same goes for orange juice. And if you see all the juices, they are concentrates. So the concentrated juices from all the fruits are actually almost as bad as wine.
Wow. And is it only for those packaged Tetra Pak juices or also for freshly squeezed juice?
So the problem, obviously, the fresh juices will be better because Tetra Paks and all these, they will have a lot of preservatives. So the preservatives are, again, our bodies don't know how to react to preservatives. All these foods and preservatives are in a very recent past. Our bodies are not used to using, our genome, our bodies don't know how to react to preservatives.
Okay.
There are too many of them,
Okay.
including sugar is also used as a preservative in
Okay.
all these juices. So if you read the contents of a juice packet you buy, a Tetra Pak, you might find, there's a very good chance you might find fructose-rich corn syrup or sugars added to all these juices.
So Tetra Pak wala is closer to wine, is much worse than freshly squeezed
Because of not just the fructose content, because of the other.
because और चीजें आ गई उसमें. Now let's come to the freshly squeezed juice. Is that also bad?
It is bad
Okay.
because it is a high concentration of fructose which the body will store as fat if you have excessive amounts of it.
Okay.
Obviously, our body will metabolize most of the juices
Okay.
even in adequate quantities.
Okay.
Excess of everything is bad, but
Okay.
juices, it's an excess of fruit. So it is highly recommended now not to give your children as such juices. Yes, one or two fruits a day, one apple a day, or any fruit.
Okay.
I mean, there is a difference in the fruits also. It's
Okay.
recommended fruits, and some fruits have other benefits. Or
Okay.
one of the most beautiful fruits to now have is actually blueberries. It has a lot of components in it which are extremely good for the body, for the
Okay.
bacteria, because
Okay.
a lot of fiber is there. And
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, I have a list of questions for you, and I'm now jumping the question because we are talking about something which I had later down in my list, which is that I have given up added sugar. So I've given up sugar in tea, coffee, desserts, मिठाई, cakes. वो जो white sugar है वो जहाँ डालते हैं वो मैं नहीं लेता. So I take tea, coffee without sugar. I don't take desserts. I don't take mithai, but I still eat fruits. I still drink fruit juice. So, what are the different things which have sugar, and should one think about giving up more than just added sugar?
okay, very, very interesting. Yeah. So the two things that happened to destroy our metabolisms, one was sugar, and the other is refined carbohydrates.
Refined carbohydrates. Okay.
Which means all the grains, they were refined by mills, and they were refined, and so that the major reason is that, again, as far as the sugar is concerned, sugar has been in our lives only for, like I said, 1500 2000 years maybe at the most. Our bodies have evolved over the last 2 million years, so our bodies don't know how to react to sugars. So that is the biggest reason why. So whenever we eat sugars, so there is a hormone called insulin, which gets raised as a response, so that the extra glucose levels in the body needs to be, moved to places, used up for energy, moved to places, because we don't want too much glucose in the blood running all the time, because that has its own harmful effects.
Got it.
So the fructose goes to the liver, the glucose is being, so the insulin is rising as soon as you eat sugars. So the insulin goes up. And that creates we can discuss that in detail. The insulin rise causes the sugars to dip. So before the insulin has actually gone down, after it's done its work of taking care of the extra glucose in the body, you eat again. In 2-3 hours, and you feel hungry, and because the insulin is dipping, so the hormones which stimulate your hunger are going up, and that you eat again. So the biggest reason, and the refined carbohydrates do the same thing almost.
What is refined carbohydrates?
Refined carbohydrate, basically, imagine that
Things like?
Normal atta.
Okay.
So imagine there were no steel mills, there was no way of grinding atta. The maximum, with humans as they evolved, probably had those chakki things, or usme wo atta banate the. It was still not purely refined. Now what we get is they remove most of the seed, the fiber part of it, all the good part is gone, and only the carb is left. It definitely gives us energy, and we feel good after it and all that. But the maida, atta, even polished rice to some extent. So the refined part was not there earlier on. Our bodies are meant for eating whole foods.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have created sugars, refined carbohydrates, that is what is creating a lot of problems.
So the question remains that should I look at reducing things beyond just added sugar? मतलब और क्या
Yes.
चीजें हैं जिनमें नुकसान है,
So
जैसे
you find
fruits हैं, vegetables हैं.
So in moderation, fruits are good.
Okay.
They're fine.
Okay.
But fruits again, when you didn't have cold storage, for example, fruits were supposed to be had in the fall, closer to the winter, so that your body stores up that fat. You eat that extra fructose and it goes there, and the fiber is there and everything. Vegetables are fine. Whole vegetables are fine.
Okay.
That is what probably our ancestors relied more on.
Okay. What about bread?
Meat is fine.
Okay.
So meat also, earlier obviously all the cows and all the meats from wherever, chicken and everything was grass fed, or they were eating natural ingredients. Now the problem with meat also is that it's not organic meat. When you feed these cows and all these animals, they are corn fed mostly, and they're given antibiotic shots every week so that they become fat, and becoming fat means good for the farmer. Right. So all those things. So meat is good. Most of the whole foods are good. So anything that has a barcode on it means it's processed, and that's not good. So throw away the barcoded things and start going back to what our ancestors used.
So they say bread is really bad.
So bread. So most of the bread that we eat, if you notice, this is
See, because kids have bread for breakfast every day.
Bread is bad. So most of the bread that we get in the market is bad. It is again refined flour.
But that's not sugar.
Most of the bread that we eat has added sugar also in it. So interestingly, if you buy very good bread from a good baker and keep it overnight, it gets spoiled. There's fungus in it in 2 days at the most. So when you buy sugared bread, if you notice, the normal bread that we buy, all these big brands are selling bread, it has added sugar, because sugar is a preservative also. So when you buy that bread, it has added sugars also. Also, it is refined atta. So whole wheat bread, all these things are slightly better, but it's a very small percentage. So aapko bread dono, there's a huge difference between these.
And what about things like brown sugar, jaggery?
So jaggery is also, the derivative is the same. It comes from sugarcane and all those things. So it's again, which poison do you want to die from? That is the only difference. Brown sugar is a hoax.
It's a hoax.
I mean, it's just a colored sugar. It's a colored white sugar. That's about
it.
Right. I mean, people making brown sugar will try and sell it like a healthier option, but the difference is not really there.
Source is the same. And jaggery also.
Jaggery also. Eventually, it will become sugar. And look, everything gets an insulin response. The real elephant is the response which we get out of all this. In fact, we have been promoted to drink diet sodas.
Yeah.
So that is not sugar, definitely not. But it is almost as bad.
Why?
Better than sugar, but it's almost as bad. For the other benefit, for the other negatives of drinking. One thing is the response the body gives is again the insulin hormone. That comes out even with a diet soda. So the moment you drink something sweet, no matter it is artificially sweetened, the moment it goes onto the tongue, the brain knows there's sugar coming up. The brain gives a signal to the pancreas to release more insulin. So the moment the pancreas knows that sugar is coming, it doesn't know. The pancreas doesn't know if it's artificial sugar or real sugar. So even with artificial sugar, you get the same insulin response. Slightly less, but quite a bit.
So is it better to eat a paratha or a puri rather than bread? Like, how do you decide? Breakfast mein aur kya khayega bachcha?
Paratha made in desi ghee, not in the trans fats or vegetable oils or vegetable seed oils. Definitely a better option.
Okay.
Than bread and jam and any of those things. Definitely.
Okay.
So there's a lot of change in the dietary preferences that we should have over the last few years. One of the biggest differences has been actually all about saturated and unsaturated fats. In the 1970s, 80s, there were a lot of studies where they said that take out the fat from the diet, because it is 9 calories for every gram, and it's about 4.5 calories for sugars or proteins. So you take out the fats and eat they used to call it healthier fats, and for example, there was margarine that came. It is bullshit. Now they know that.
Oh.
Yeah. So the trans fats are out. In fact, it's banned now. And a lot of these vegetable seed oils are also very rich in, instead of omega-3, which we need, omega-6 and omega-9s, and they kind of compete with omega-3 for the right things omega-3 does. So a lot of those things. Definitely, a parantha in desi ghee is better than.
So, sometimes when you go to a restaurant, you go to Starbucks, you go to these places, you go to a 5-star hotel, instead of sugar, they offer you an option of sugar-free. है ना? So, my family keeps telling me कि यार sugar नहीं पीनी तूने sugar-free ले ले. So, is that okay?
So that's the same thing as what we use diet soda, all those additives. It again gets you the same response from the insulin in the body. So as soon as you eat something sweet, the same insulin gets released. And the biggest problem is, people, for example, drinking diet sodas. So when, let's say we were having a can of Coke, one a day or maybe two a day. So people who are addicted to, let's say, Coke.
हाँ बच्चे तो मतलब कई लोग पीते हैं कोक. हाँ.
आप जब उसकी जगह पे डाइट सोडास पीते हो तो आप सोचते हो मैं 5 पी सकता हूँ या 10 पी सकता हूँ. हुआ क्या कि 2 डाइट सोडास का अप्रोक्सीमेटली एक नॉर्मल कोक कैन से लगभग बराबर सा इफेक्ट आ जाता है बॉडी में.
अच्छा.
बट इंस्टेड ऑफ हैविंग दैट 2 नाउ यू आर हैविंग 10 मेबी अ डे. सो
बिकॉज़ यू थिंक इट्स सेफ.
बिकॉज़ आई थिंक इट्स सेफ. सो वो एक मिस परसेप्शन क्रिएट हो जाती है. सो दैट इज अ बिग नेगेटिव ऑफ ऑल दीज added.
So when they say diet Coke, diet Pepsi, zero Coke, zero Pepsi, ऐसी चीजें हैं मार्केट में, you are saying they are perhaps less harmful but still harmful.
Absolutely, they're less harmful quantity wise. Also इनमें बहुत सारे ingredients वो additives हैं, preservatives हैं, additives हैं, जो हमारे बैक्टीरिया को नहीं पता उनका क्या करना है. So some of the things that all these added sweeteners have, our body doesn't know what to do it, so they're not absorbed. They go down into the bacteria. They don't know what to do with it. So एक बहुत बड़ा पार्ट है हमारे बॉडी का, हमारे जो बैक्टीरिया है हमारे बॉडी के अंदर, trillions of them. So they don't know how to digest these things.
So when sugar goes inside, what does it really do? I mean, you said some pancreas में कुछ होता है.
sugar अंदर गई.
So मैंने कुछ खाया, मैंने मीठी चाय पी ली या टॉफी खा ली या कोक पी ली. अब होता क्या है?
So let's say 2 तरह के इंडिविजुअल्स हैं. आप एक इंडिविजुअल एक्सट्रीम पे ले लो जो बिल्कुल घर में बैठा हुआ है, और एक है जो एक्सरसाइज कर रहा है. So when you're drinking all these energy drinks that we talk about are basically sugars. So for somebody who's exercising, that sugar is used up to build that energy back, and the body has this beautiful capability to convert fats, sugars, and proteins into each other. As the need be. There are in fact some tribes in Africa and a lot of other places who eat only fats or only sugars, only carbohydrates, not sugars, only carbohydrates or only proteins. And they still manage. I mean, their blood sugars are the same. So body has this beautiful system of enzymes and converting one kind of food into the other. But they don't get sick of the diseases that we are sick of today. In fact, I read a very interesting thing that people in America, for example, I mean, they have the worst kind of diet, It's all processed food. Like grocery store, if you go, about 80% of their products are all added sugars. And a lot of other processed, like fructose-rich corn syrup and all those other things, sweeteners and everything. They are actually paying a longevity tax. The average age in, let's say, Japan has a much better dietary system in their culture. So their expected age of survival would be about 88 years. In America, it's about 80 years. So it's like a longevity tax. The moment those guys, I mean, there have been studies on this, are shifted, just the cultural shift or the environmental shift into a better eating, less sugary place, your longevity increases.
Wow.
Imagine the difference that diet or sugars, mostly sugars. That is why what you have done in the last
4 months,
4 months now is probably the biggest decision of your life. It's all about sugars.
Wow. So when you consume sugar, it goes inside and it can become fat and go into your liver. Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what happens. It starts with that, but the insulin rise that happens. So what happens is, आपने sugar खाई, the insulin rises, normal body behaves like this. So the insulin rises, it stores whatever sugar, uses up the sugar.
So the moment you eat sugar, insulin rises.
Insulin rise, immediately.
Okay.
The rise is immediate. So it starts as soon as you put something on your tongue, goes into the intestine. There also the whole process has started. So the insulin rises, it just picks up the glucose part of it and takes it to the cells. The mitochondria in the cells take up the glucose, convert into ATP. ATP is our fuel. We use up the fuel. Whatever rest is left now is stored up. So for a guy who's exercising again or taking in a modest amount of sugars, that's fine. But rest, everything is stored as fat, and obesity is a bloody big problem now. It's all because of the sugars we eat. In fact, there have been multiple incidences of people eating a large number of eggs and only eggs for many days. Their weight increase was not as much as somebody eating a lot of sugars. It has a lot to do with your metabolism in the body and of how sugars make the hormones in the body behave. Which leads to a lot of diseases. Then the longevity decreases. So because of the insulin rising in the body and staying risen, because we are eating again and again because of the sugars again. So it's like how much can a cell take? How much of a glucose can the cell take? How much can insulin do? So to increase the effect of that, now there's extra glucose outside because you're eating more sugar. So when the glucose is outside, it needs to be pushed into the cells. So to push it into the cells, we need insulin. So the messages go to the pancreas, we need more insulin. It's like you are trying to pack people into a metro, a box of a metro train, and 2 policemen can't do it. You need 4 to push the people in. You need 10 people. So gradually what happens is the doors give away and the receptors in every cell, they go bad. And you can't push after a certain time, So what happens to all that sugar? It will go and get stored as fat.
Okay.
So, and this is the bad fat. This is the fat that goes around the belly. So can't be used up.
So once we were talking on the phone and you mentioned that sugar is one of the most addictive things you can have.
Yeah.
Like for me to give up sugar initially was difficult.
Yeah.
But धीरे धीरे आदत पड़ रही है. So why is it that sugar is more addictive, or is it been proven that sugar is more addictive, or it's
Yes, it's been proven. So sugar is addictive. So sugar uses the same pathways in the brain as, for example, cocaine and heroin.
Cocaine.
Yeah. So in fact, sugar is almost or maybe more, because there have been a couple of studies where they use mice to determine that. It's a great experiment they did. It's
Okay.
Check it on Google. It's great. So I think they tested 43 mice or some number like that, and they gave them 2 options of either going for the cocaine or the sugar, and they went for the sugar after trying both out. So that is why it is.
So sugar might be more addictive than cocaine.
Everybody who is we are full of sugar junkies around the world now. Everybody is a junkie. Most of them.
So don't the governments of the world know this? I mean, there are testing organizations, FDAs, who are testing every product before it comes out.
In fact, it is postulated, and in fact, I've been reading about it a lot, and it is almost 100% that more people have died because of sugar than because of the world wars.
Wow.
It's the single largest poison we made, which is killing us all.
Wow.
And also the life expectancy is going down. The life expectancy has actually gone up if you consider from the past and now.
Yeah.
It's because of the control over the diseases and the beauty of
medical science.
Medical science, yeah. Antibiotics coming in and all those also to understand why I was talking about insulin. So this is what is called insulin resistance. So once our bodies develop insulin resistance, it is like antibiotic resistance. It is like somebody can get drunk over 1 bottle of beer and somebody needs 5 beers to get drunk, It is something like that. So when our bodies become insulin resistant, it is like you're drinking a bottle of, hard liquor a day. And everything that you're drinking now is destroying your life. It is exactly the same that happens with sugars. And what are we doing? We're giving our kids the option to.
So insulin resistance क्या हुआ है? मेरे को समझ में नहीं आया.
इंसुलिन रेजिस्टेंस है जो मैं मेट्रो का एग्जांपल दे रहा था
हाँ हाँ हाँ
कि जब when you keep on trying to push people into a dabba,
हाँ
so after all the doors are, the receptors are going like this, and the people banging on it, the policemen banging on it all the time. How much can it, in 10 to 15 years, finally those doors will give way,
sure
and you can't push people in anymore.
sure
It's done. So that's when the spillage happens outside. So when insulin resistance happens, the policemen needed are being increased to a certain level where those policemen are always there in that, next to that dabba, next to that box. And that's when nothing else can come in. So that is insulin resistance.
and it happens because we constantly eat sugar.
It happens because we constantly eat sugar.
So you eat sugar, insulin rises.
Another big thing that has happened along with eating of sugars is the frequency of our food, how much we eat.
Sure.
That is a very important, that is almost as important or maybe more than eating sugars also, is actually that we don't give those receptors, those cells rest time. They need to heal. No matter how much a machine works, how beautifully nature has made our cells and everything, they need to rest. And that rest we are not giving them. Earlier days, if you remember, people used to eat twice a day maybe, or once a day. In the very olden times, it was probably even one hunting kill in 3 days. So our bodies are actually made to be like that. So what we have done now is we are eating bad stuff, processed foods, sugars, refined carbohydrates, and we are eating too frequently. Now, in our houses also, kids are given a snack every now and then. It is absolutely to be eating in the train, wherever you're going, at work, and we take small snacks all the time. And we've been misled by a lot of people. Even a lot of dietitians don't know this. A lot of nutritionists, they say keep your metabolism up, keep yourself energized, eat a little amount of food very frequently. That is all bullshit. That is not true.
So we'll come back to, or maybe we should do another conversation about food and frequency of food. But coming back to sugar and insulin, I just want to understand that every time I'm eating sugar, insulin rises, and then it drops, and then I feel low energy again.
Yes, exactly.
And after I eat sugar, I feel very good.
Absolutely.
Right? But very quickly after that, I feel hungry again.
Absolutely.
Right? So this is normal.
So sugar doesn't kill hunger as much as, let's say, fats would do. So if you were to give kids, it's better to give them a spoonful of butter to make them feel less hungry.
Okay.
So that is what, keto diet is all about that, right?
Okay.
So
if I have sugar, insulin rises, it drops, and again I have sugar, again it rises.
Again it rises.
And then in the evening, again I have some dessert, some Coke, something, again it rises.
Again it rises. Yeah.
Now, this again rising and going down, again rising and going down, is it more controlled because I've given up sugar?
Absolutely. So now your insulin must be rising nice and slow, Let's say you're eating normal dal roti and all those things, Even though some of the wheat thing, the refined sugars are not very good, but still that is all starch. That is all glucose. Even potatoes. That is not as bad as sugar. Sugar has one molecule of fructose, remember, and that is poison. We are not supposed to eat.
So fructose is the bad part.
Is the bad part.
And fructose is in sugar, and fructose is in all sweet things.
All sweet things.
But आटे में नहीं है इतना.
आटे में नहीं है.
Okay. So,
but उसमें refined carbohydrates है. तो उससे क्या है? Insulin तो rise हो ही रहा है, और because refined है तो ज़्यादा हो रहा है. The fiber layer that forms, it's very beautiful actually. There are two kinds of, I'll just tell you a little bit about that to understand how the food.
No, I want to understand here.
So when we eat, let's say, any chana dal, kuch bhi, anything at all, anything with fiber in it, the way nature made it, or even grain, normal grain, fruit. So whatever fiber has two types, soluble and insoluble. So the moment you eat food, the release of insulin is slowed because the fiber forms a fish net around the food. As soon as you eat you're eating dal or fruit or whatever, everything with fiber, it forms a beautiful layer around it. Now there are two types of fiber, insoluble and soluble. The insoluble fibers form like a fish net around it, and the soluble fiber forms little globules around in the small spaces of the fish net. What happens is, another thing that, again, talking about nature, our intestines are bloody long. They're good 30 feet or something, So all that food has to traverse all that long distance to reach there. The way refined things we are eating now, it's immediately processed, everything absorbed in, there's an insulin spike, and then it's crashing down, making us feel hungry. But with fiber foods, whole foods, it is, along with that layer, fish nut around it, it's gradually going down the intestine. In your case, for example, no sugars, you're not getting those insulin spikes. Also, whole foods adds up to that. Whenever we eat food, we're drinking a soda with it, or even with a paratha in the morning, like you said, if you're drinking sweetened tea with a lot of added sugar in it,
or juice,
or even a juice, yes. All those things will lead into a spike. So,
and those spikes create insulin resistance, or no?
So imagine a spike going up like this. It stays here. It's not even come down, and you're eating sweet again. Now it goes up again. How much can it go up? There is more sweet for the cells to take in now, more glucose. It goes down like this, it goes like this. Finally, it's peaking up there, and it's always high. So when the insulin is always high, it has all the insulin creates a lot of problems in the bodies. In fact, diabetes, of course, happens with sugar eating and excessive sugar eating over many years. Now we know hypertension, heart attacks, coronary artery disease, Alzheimer's. All these things are basically happening because of the excessive sugars and because of the excessive amount of insulin in the body all the time. It creates a lot of problems in the arteries, mostly the endothelial tissue of the arteries. The fat metabolism is not there. The triglycerides will go very high. It's pretty complicated how the whole hormonal system works, but it clogs the arteries. And we are as old as our arteries are. It's a saying there, but it's very true, and it happens all because of insulin. That's the biggest culprit.
So this repeatedly eating sugar gives us the insulin spike.
Yes.
And again a spike, and again a spike, and then we become resistant.
We, over many years, gradually become resistant to it. Also, sometimes what happens is, how much can the poor pancreas cannot release? It's not unlimited supply of anything. It's trying to metabolize as much as you can. But if you see the fat get fatter, that is what happens. They will feel more hungry, the pattern won't change, they have nowhere to store the extra energy coming in, they'll become fatter. Because of the insulin resistance.
Okay.
That is the biggest problem.
Okay. So, is there any benefit of sugar? Are there pros and cons? मतलब हम तो cons करते जा रहे हैं ना, तो कुछ तो benefit भी होगा कि कुछ नहीं benefit?
The biggest benefit is the taste of sugar, no? I would love to once in a while the idea of having an ice cream and the chocolate.
Fair, yeah, I would too, yeah.
I mean, that's a great kick in life, I think. I think we all are, the way the world is right now, more than 50% of our entertainment is food, no? Going out with friends, it's all about food, alcohol, all those things which are all added sugars. So that is one big benefit, is the social part of it, or the taste part of it, or the enjoyment part of it. That is the biggest benefit.
So taste तो मिलता ही है, गुलाब जामुन खा के मजा तो आता ही है. So that is a benefit. But जो नुकसान हो रहा है वो इतना ज़्यादा है.
वो इतना ज़्यादा है
ना? And मीठा खा के एनर्जी भी आती है.
Obviously.
Sudden burst of energy. I mean, I run and sometimes they say ke,
so all the energy drinks.
Take a chocolate, eat something, it gives you energy.
It's instant energy, and there is nothing wrong taking it, but it could be not the sugar, it could be something else, it could be pure glucose in various ways. Starch will almost immediately convert to sugars in the body. That's another thing. But it does, it gives you instant energy.
Okay. So again, I come back to myself क्योंकि मैंने sugar छोड़ी है. But I have given up only added sugar, right? So, are there other things which are equally bad, which I don't see as sugar, but they have sugar? Like we said, bread, right? We said alcohol.
So it's like, yes,
which I am still consuming, perhaps.
So even sugars, for that matter, they might now. Presently, every alcohol bottle will have, it's harmful to your health. Every nicotine packet will have that. This is going to happen to sugars now, eventually. But then there's going to be, it's also said that, if you drink 2 drinks a week or 1 small drink a day, it's okay. So the same thing will happen with sugars probably. So it's again the lesser poison. So which is the lesser poison? I mean, how extreme do you want to go in life to compromising on the entertainment bit of it to take care of your health? That is a big question. Yes. So I agree. It's bad, slightly less bad, slightly less bad, slightly less bad, but they all are bad. Anything that gives you a sugar rush or an insulin spike.
So I have a few more questions and very specific questions.
Okay.
Is sugar responsible for calories? मतलब हमारे को शुरू से बताया गया कैलोरी हो जाएगी, ज्यादा कैलोरीज अच्छी नहीं है, कैलोरीज कम करो.
बड़ा सिंपल फंडा था. Most dietitians would do that. कि कैलोरी इन कैलोरी आउट.
हाँ.
हमेशा ये बोलते. हाँ. तो शुगर में इतनी कैलोरी, प्रोटीन में इतनी फैट. करेक्ट. कैलोरी खाना है, इतना बर्न करना है, तो आप you are well. So
runners like me are constantly measuring our calories. कि हम भाग रहे हैं तो इतनी कैलोरीज बर्न हो गई, अब जाके हम मिठाई खा लेंगे, वो तो इतनी कैलोरीज आ गई तो बैलेंस हो गया.
It is total crap.
Is it?
अगर ये सच होता तो आज तक obesity बढ़ क्यों रही होती? So the obesity is not increasing because of this formula is very simple, calories in, calories out. But over the years, if you notice, people who diet, who do a lot of exercises, still they're getting fat. So it is also the kind of food and the frequency of how you eat. It is very important. If you give the 1,000 calories to two people, exactly the same amount, one will put on weight, one will not. So it depends on all these factors. Frequency of eating is also very important in this. So अभी आजकल बहुत वो चला हुआ intermittent fasting. So the whole idea is आप अपने सेल को रेस्ट करने का टाइम दो ताकि उसको इंसुलिन रिसेप्टर्स उसके अच्छे रहें. उसके बाकी फायदे फास्टिंग के बहुत सारे हैं. सेपरेट टॉपिक. But calories in, calories out is a thing of the past now.
अच्छा. Okay. And my next question is कि हमने इतनी इंसुलिन की बात करी है, तो इंसुलिन का नुकसान क्या है? कि मतलब इंसुलिन स्पाइक हो गई तो ठीक है, हो गई, मतलब प्रॉब्लम क्या है उसका? Is it impacting us? Is it hurting me somewhere?
Directly causes a lot of ailments, like I mentioned, because of the high levels of insulin all the time. So एक metabolic syndrome होता है जिसमें आपका blood pressure high रहता है, आपका HDL triglyceride levels में रेशो में फर्क आता है, आपकी वेस्ट लाइन बड़ी होनी हो जाती है. तो फैट, इंसुलिन का काम है ग्लूकोज को उठा के, if it stays high, it will keep on storing that glucose into fat. And it stores it around the belly, around other places. It's the bad fat. There are two kinds of white fat, brown fat कहते हैं. So the good fat is the subcutaneous fat and the fat, जहाँ use हो सकता है fat. लेकिन जो बुरा वाला fat है, belly के round है, that is the bad fat. So if insulin levels are high all the time, that happens with insulin resistance. आप मोटे होते रहोगे. That is the bad thing.
Okay.
Also, it causes a lot of other problems. The other diseases I mentioned, Alzheimer's बढ़ जाएगा.
हाँ, तो क्या diseases हैं जो शुगर और इंसुलिन से आती हैं? मोटी-मोटी.
जितनी भी chronic inflammatory होता क्या है? All these things cause problems in the arteries.
Okay.
So जो छोटी वाली arteries होती हैं, अब it is all related. जैसे उसकी वजह से डायबिटीज हो गई, समझ आ गई. डायबिटीज तो हमें we all know. डायबिटीज की वजह से आपको ब्लाइंडनेस भी होती है. आपकी किडनीज खराब हो जाती है. Then lot of other, आपकी sensations खराब हो जाती है. So it basically comes down to insulin because of that. Coronary artery disease, heart attacks are basically because of पहले कोई सोचता ही नहीं था. पूरे अमेरिका में जहाँ साइंस इतनी डेवलप थी, 1970s 80s की बात है, there were studies where they said कि फैट बंद कर दो, सैचुरेटेड, सब बंद हो गया. पूरे हम जब when I was in medical college,
हार्ट अटैक तो घी की वजह से होता है ना, फैट खा लो उससे होता है.
Nothing to do with it now they know.
Okay.
I mean they could be adding factors, minimal adding factors, but the real culprit here is the sugars. And the refined carbohydrates, because उनकी वजह से जो इंसुलिन का मेटाबॉलिज्म में फर्क पड़ रहा है बॉडी के ऊपर, उसके जो एंडोथेलियल टिश्यू है आर्टरीज की, वहां पे फैट्स जाके डिपॉजिट हो रहे हैं. And that has everything to do with all this. Everything has that to do with all this.
Okay.
ऐसी बहुत सारी और चीजें. I mean आपकी जितनी chronic inflammatory diseases हैं, rheumatoid arthritis है,
right,
बहुत सारे हैं. Strokes, जो स्ट्रोक से मर गया, वो भी स्ट्रोक क्यों होता है? It's the blood going into one segment of the brain जहाँ पे वो नहीं जा पाया because वहाँ fat deposition हो गया वो arteries में. The funda remains the same. The process is the same. So it's like
so scary, right?
Scary.
I mean,
it is scary.
Scary that we know. I mean, I'm assuming all doctors know this.
In fact, a lot of research is now happening because we didn't know the enzymatic processes or the hormonal processes. So the beauty of science is now gradually this is coming out,
Sure.
and it is going to happen in the very near future that this knowledge, as it's permeating, a lot of good things are happening. People are fasting now. People are getting the knowledge of intermittent fasting. People are now, there are shops, instead of selling sweetened things, are selling whole foods. It is gradually happening. And it's luckier to be in a village now, where you don't have these layers of, you're eating normal khana, dal roti and all those things. But yeah, a lot of things won't change so suddenly. Refined flours, imagine living without polished rice and refined flour. It's not going to happen the way.
Right. Right.
But as this information is going out gradually, sugars definitely is poison, underlined.
Right.
So you've done a good thing.
Right. So all doctors know this.
I'm sure most
Health ministries across the world know this.
they know this.
Governments know this.
But the food industry is such a rich industry, so they put all these researches under the carpet. Most of them, obviously, you can't expect the US FDA not to know this. They know this, but there are a lot of people who are trying their level best to educate more and more people, and getting them to say no to sugar.
So I had made a video on should sugar be banned. In fact, the title was, "Is sugar more dangerous than guns?"
It is.
And I made it based on just some research I read around and put things together. And a lot of people commented saying, yes, it is bad. Some people also said कि अगर sugar give up करेंगे तो फिर हम कैसे जिएंगे? Sugar के बिना इन सदियों से लोगों ने खाया है, तो sugar is not bad and all that. And so very interesting video. I'll send it to you. But what confuses me is that governments know it, doctors know it, hospitals know it, but openly कोई ये बोल नहीं रहा है कि sugar को आप राशन कर दो, right? आप चलो ban मत करो, but don't give unlimited sugar to people, at least kids. Do you think that should be done?
At least kids, yeah.
Do you think that should be done?
Absolutely.
Because just बच्चे को,
it's funny that in spite of the fact we know guns, nicotine and alcohol are bad, they will kill people. Still, we have guns, nicotine and alcohol. The same will be for sugar.
Every time I travel in a plane, you cross the security. And if you were carrying a gun, I mean, मेरे पास तो नहीं है gun, but if you were carrying a gun, they'll stop you.
Of course.
They won't let you go. But you cross security, and then there are candy stores. So जब से मैंने sugar छोड़ी है, मैं ये चीज़ मेरे को हमेशा realize होती है कि एयरपोर्ट पे जाओ, security cross करो, गन होगी तो रोक लेंगे, पर कैंडी होगी तो नहीं रोकेंगे. Maybe you can't kill others with your candy, but you're killing yourself. And symbolically, maybe we should make a change in this. Right? Because हर माँ को ये लगता है कि बच्चे को जूस पिलाओ, इसको अच्छी ब्रेड खिलाओ, इसको कॉर्नफ्लेक्स खिलाओ. What about things like Kellogg's?
It is all, it's refined carbs and sugar.
और हम बच्चों को खिला रहे हैं, दबा के खिला रहे हैं.
गलत कर रहे हैं.
Right? तो ये बच्चे जब बड़े होंगे,
we are shortening their lives. That is what parents should know now. Proven. We are shortening their lives when we give them excessive sugars. आजकल के बच्चे 10 साल पे fatty liver हो रहा है. It is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense.
So have you given up sugar?
I have decreased my intake of sugar. I want to follow your path because I travel a lot, so it is difficult to completely leave it. But added sugars, yes, I'm not having now.
Achha.
I would also like to stop like once in a while, and it's absolutely fine. It's like one drink a week, If you, let's say you eat a pinni or whatever you like once a week, that is absolutely fine. You have a gulab jamun once in a while, that is fine. But
Okay.
if it's a part of your daily existence, you're kidding
तो
yourself.
मैंने जैसे एक
The
साल,
same goes for alcohol,
okay, so I've given up sugar for a year,
Okay.
and I keep thinking 2025 में should I, because मन तो करता है.
By that time, there might be a government regulation not letting you eat sugars. Who knows?
I hope so, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
तो मन तो करता है. तो I keep thinking 2025 में महीने में एक बार एक गुलाब जामुन या महीने में एक बार एक लड्डू. Is that okay?
That is okay. One laddu a week is also okay. I mean, our body is pretty good at taking out these things, But it's only the excessive, repeated.
But right now with 4 cups of tea or coffee in a day and
it's absolutely.
all the sugar, mithai and
It is crazy how, in fact,
we are eating 3 laddus a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you were saying something.
No, it's like whenever you take out fat from anything, low fat yogurt, for example. So what are you adding up instead of the fat is sugars to make up that volume of a.
अच्छा योगर्ट में भी शुगर होता है वो जो
बाजार में
आता है हाँ हाँ
So this is low fat.
ऑरेंज फ्लेवर एंड
Skimmed milk. You should not never have skimmed milk.
व्हाट
Yeah.
व्हाई
So okay, 1 liter of skimmed milk and 1 liter of whole milk,
हाँ
full fat milk, which will have more sugar?
आई डोंट नो शुगर मिल्क में कहाँ से शुगर है
Carbs तो है ना.
अच्छा अच्छा
So जो 1 liter skimmed milk है, because वो fat निकाल दिया उसको, बाकी जो सामान बच गया मिल्क का वो तो है ना उसमें, बढ़ गया ना उसमें. नहीं तो वो जो एरिया था वो फैट नहीं लेना था उसका volume था. So basically you should have whole milk. Should stop having skimmed.
So whole milk, full
Again,
fat milk
because
is
the
better than.
carbs and insulin spikes and the same cycle again, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
अच्छा that's an interesting angle. तो ये सब हमारी सोसाइटी में जो यंग मदर्स हैं या मदर्स हैं जिनके बच्चे हैं छोटे, मेरे ख्याल से परसेप्शन सबकी बिल्कुल डिफरेंट.
Absolutely.
या इवन फॉर एडल्ट्स लाइक अस, आई डिडंट नो दैट फुल फैट. मैं तो स्किम मिल्क ही पीता हूँ.
उसका फायदा नहीं है. Fats are not bad for you anyway. So अगर आप most of the cholesterol is actually made in the body. It's not added cholesterol तो I think 10% या कुछ भी होगा. I don't remember that, but it's mostly made in the body. So you should have butter and desi ghee and all those things. It's absolutely fine.
अच्छा. So desi ghee is better than sugar?
They're entirely different energy sources,
Okay.
but desi ghee is definitely better than sugar.
Okay. Okay. And you're also saying all these sugar-free things?
To be avoided.
Sugarless Coke.
So let's say you have to have a can of soda, and you don't need the energy, but you want to drink 1 soda a week, maybe, or 2 sodas a week. It's better to go for the sweet, artificial sodas if you want to avoid the sugars completely. It is absolutely fine.
Okay.
But instead of having again the same thing, if you are having 1 Coke and instead of having 2 sodas or 3 sodas, 3 artificial diet sodas, that's not done.
Okay.
Same
Okay.
harm.
Okay.
Same.
Great. This was enlightening. Last question.
Okay.
मेरे को पूरी चना बड़ा पसंद है, लेकिन नॉर्मली क्या होता है कि ब्रेकफास्ट में क्रॉसों ब्रेड ये चीजें आ जाती हैं, तो वो कहते हैं पूरी चने में घी बहुत है, ऑयल है, तो क्रॉसों खा लो, ये तो सिंपल है, बटर मत लगाना.
Yeah.
So is पूरी चना better than croissant?
100%.
Yeah.
Croissant में protein है नहीं. It's all carbs, full of carbs and sugar of course. And पूरी चने में चना है, उसमें प्रोटीन है, थोड़ा सा कार्ब्स भी है चने में, लेकिन मोस्टली प्रोटीन है. आटा है, रिफाइंड आटा है, डेफिनेटली दैट्स नॉट अ वेरी गुड थिंग. अगेन वो अच्छे आटे की अगर पूरी बनी हो, द घी इज फाइन, बेटर डू इट इन देसी घी देन एनीथिंग एल्स.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
पूरी चना I would say
So pure घी में बना पूरी चना या that kind of stuff is better than
for the same
paratha,
volume of food for the same calories far superior to
is better than eating 2 croissants or
and
3 slices of
or a
bread.
bread slice with some jam on it and 100%.
Okay.
The only good thing there is the butter. So
Right.
it's fine.
Great. This was very
Because
useful.
butter makes you जो हमारे हंगर के हार्मोन है वो फैट्स के साथ सबसे अच्छे सेशिएट होते हैं.
Okay.
So the hunger hormone gets down on the best thing is fat.
Okay.
I mean there are also stretch receptors in the abdomen. तो अगर आप जैसे फास्टिंग कर रहे हैं पानी पीते रहिए अगर तो भूख चली जाती है. But as far as the body tendency is concerned, the way we've been made genetically, we need some fats to get the hunger down.
And obesity over the many centuries is today. It wasn't there. Caveman wasn't obese.
They want obese, yeah.
Right. So
we are now hormonally modified. So हमारी evolution तो genetic होनी थी. जो genome वो तो वही है. So आज से let's say 5-10 हजार 20 हजार साल पहले हमारा जो genome है जो genetic material है वो same है आज का. लेकिन हमारे hormones बिल्कुल अलग है उनसे.
Oh.
We are hormonally modified Homo sapiens right now. And वो hormones क्यों बदल गए सारे के सारे? Because हमारी diet बदल गई सारी की सारी. अगर 24 घंटे में evolution को लिया जाए तो sugars आए तो सिर्फ 0.1 millisecond हुआ है. Our bodies don't know how to, and solve. Our bodies don't know how to do, what to do with it. They are stuck with fructose now. आप जूस निकाल के पी रहे हो और अब आप सोडास पी रहे हो और शुगर खा रहे हो. तो
Wow.
हमें पता ही नहीं क्या करना है, वो obesity हो ही जा रही है.
Wow. Wow.
And it's not just the obesity to look at, it's also the diseases, added diseases. डायबिटीज ये सब मॉडर्न मैन की डिजीज है, पुराने जमाने में कहाँ होती डायबिटीज. ये सच बात है कि जो हार्ट अटैक्स हो रहे हैं वो अब ज्यादा हो रहे हैं बिकॉज ऑफ द एडेड शुगर्स मोस्टली.
Right.
There are other reasons also, but it's mostly because of the added sugars.
Okay.
Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, all those things.
So I guess my giving up sugar is a good thing.
It's a good thing. You're going to live maybe 10, 15, 20 years longer than what you were supposed to now.
I don't know, but my family and friends should not worry.
Oh, absolutely. You should be very insistent and, find other ways of entertainment for your family than food, all of us.
Right.
So
right.
we entertain ourselves too much with food. And I believe that we should stop entertaining ourselves around food.
Right. So your advice for the audience will be to give up sugar?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And bring down the refined carbohydrates as much as you can. Eat organic. Don't eat processed foods. Anything that has a barcode on it, throw it away.
Okay.
Don't eat it. Yeah.
Okay. So no sugar and no processed carbohydrates, which is things like...
Processed foods will have sugars, other things which are not good for you. Your body doesn't know what to do with them.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So anything with a barcode, don't have it. Great. Thank you so much. This was very valuable, very useful. Hopefully people will learn and gives me confidence that I should continue on this path. And I will encourage more and more people to see my other video, which is sugar more dangerous than guns?
Absolutely.
Because if you're saying more people are dying because of sugar than they died in the World War,
absolutely,
then clearly it is more dangerous, and it'll perhaps
it'll be a multiple of them. It's not just more, it's like it'll be a multiple.
Wow. And in the coming years, because sugar इतनी dominant हो गई है,
83% or 80% or whatever the number is in a grocery store, आपको जो सामान मिलता है grocery store में, that is 80% with added sugars. You will not find, it's very rare to find anything without added sugars. Normal bread जो आप खा रहे हो रोज सुबह, without knowing it's all sugar. I mean, there's a lot of sugar in it, besides the bread.
So even grocery store में जब आप जा रहे हो, you have to be very careful क्या खरीदना है. Wow, we should do a conversation on this and record it.
Absolutely.
On what to eat and what not to eat.
Absolutely.
Beyond sugar.
Absolutely.
Because sugar, directly तो white sugar, brown sugar तो चलो sugar हो गई.
Yeah.
But there is much more in what we are eating which has sugar, as you're saying.
Right.
Which I'm still eating.
Yeah.
So we should talk about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
And huge learning in this. Is this a book that you're reading?
Yeah, this is a very nice book.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, I've been reading this now.
I will borrow it once you've read it. Thank you so much. So thanks to you for watching, but my advice will be that don't take this lightly. As Dr. Jandeep is saying, sugar is a big problem. I have given it up. It was difficult initially, but in today's day, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable 4 months later. So if you can, give it a try. Comment below if you want to speak to Dr. Jandeep or me about how to do this. But don't take it lightly. For yourself, your family, your loved ones, your children, take care, give up sugar.